To a developing story out of Canberra tonight, and what could potentially be the biggest hack attack the West has ever seen. For the first time, our government has publicly slammed Chinese authorities for hacking into Australian businesses and stealing valuable information which could cost local jobs. US authorities were the first to detect the breach during a top-secret investigation.
It is unacceptable that we continue to uncover cybercrime committed by China against America and other nations.
Now, the FBI has also released this wanted poster featuring two Chinese citizens who are allegedly part of a global hacking group funded by Beijing's Ministry of State. And joining me from Canberra for the latest is National Cyber Security Advisor Alastair Macgibbon. Alastair, thanks so much for joining the latest this evening. Could I begin by just asking you, please, to, if you can, characterise the nature of the businesses that have been affected in Australia and who's actually been affected, as in consumers or people down the line?
Well, we've identified a number of victim companies in Australia, and really there are two types of victims here. There are what we'd call managed service providers, or those companies that provide outsourced IT services, and some of their customers in Australia. The trouble is, it is very hard to detect the victims at the end of this, the companies that have had their essential commercial secrets stolen. So it is difficult for me to be too specific about how wide this hack is. We know that it was audacious and global in nature. We know that it was about commercial secrets, the lifeblood of an economy.
Yes.
But it's very hard for us to know anywhere in the world how many of these companies have been affected, because it was actually quite subtle how this hacker group worked.
Alastair, I know in the US the FBI has detailed that the businesses affected there, major banking, healthcare, telecommunications, mining, manufacturing companies. If the nature of the businesses are similar here, and you're talking about commercial secrets, are we talking about confidential contracts, negotiations, patents, licences, inventions? Could you maybe characterise some of those commercial secrets that you referred to?
Well, sometimes it's even hard to know exactly what was stolen inside those companies, which is really frustrating for those companies, frustrating for us as we try to protect the economy. We know that this group of hackers that was working for the Chinese Ministry of State Security were stealing these commercial secrets to gain economic advantage, which is distinctly different from traditional espionage. That's an important point to make. Why that is important is that it impacts workers, it impacts businesses. It means that a competitive business that is happy to expose itself to competition offshore, if it has the secret source that lets it compete, whether it's a manufacturing process, whether it's a patent, as you said, some other unique thing that it does as a business, if it no longer has that edge, then it's much harder for it to compete. And I've said today several times, and I'm going to say it again, that means if those businesses can't compete as well, that it takes food from the table of Australians. And that's just not acceptable in a global trading economy.
So directly affecting livelihoods here, let's be simple about it.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this such an audacious and such a remarkable hack. And that's one of the reasons why we, the Americans, the Canadians, the New Zealanders, the Dutch, the Finns, the Swedes, came out today to talk about this issue, because it's unacceptable behaviour and it needs to change. But very importantly also, there are things that we can do in Australia as governments and as businesses to secure ourselves, not just against this threat actor, because unfortunately there's more than this group out there. It's about how we protect ourselves more holistically so that we can compete in this quite toxic internet environment and succeed as a country and as companies.
Just briefly before we go, have you seen it on a scale like this before, and or scale of audacity like this before? And do you condemn the Chinese government?
Well, I've been in this space for nearly 20 years and I've never seen anything as global and as sophisticated as this. And the Australian government came out today saying that it was concerned about the activities of this group called APT-10 that was working on behalf of the Chinese Ministry of State Security. We know that China needs to change the way it's acting there, and a range of countries, including, as I said, the Nordic countries, came out today to also say that their behaviour is unacceptable.
Indeed. All right, Alistair Macgibbon, thank you so much for explaining this evening.